Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for the CIISec Masterclass. I'm just going to start quite slowly with the introductions just to allow you enough time to join and get settled. But as you can see, today we've got a masterclass all around cryptojacking. As it says there, cash is no longer king. Before I make a start with introducing you to our speaker today, I'm just going to show you our house rule slide. This for you will be quite familiar if you've attended our events before, if you're a CIISec member. If you're not and you're new here, then welcome. So glad to see you attend. We run events like this quite regularly, so please do always check on our LinkedIn and our socials and things, as we're always promoting what events we have coming up. So just as it says there, just to let you know, you will be muted for the next hour for the duration of the webinar, but please do type your questions through to us. You can either type them into the Q&A or you can say hello in the chat, wherever's best for you, and we'll pick those up at the end. But I think these sessions do work best when we get lots of questions in and get some great interaction going on at the end. Hopefully everything is quite straightforward for you this afternoon, but if you do have any issues at all, then please do let us know. The best thing to do is to email us at support@ciisec.org if you can, or if for some reason you're kicked out and you can't get back in, we do record these masterclasses as well, so don't worry too much. We will send around the link to the recording afterwards. So as I said before, I'm just going to recap for anyone who's joined us a little bit late. And this masterclass is going to be all around cryptojacking. It's going to be taking a look at an area of cybercrime that in the past has received less attention, but with the rising popularity in cryptocurrency, our speaker here today, Flavio, is going to be talking us through how cybercriminals use resources to mine this sought after currency. There's lots going on about it in the news. I'm sure everybody's kind of sick to death of hearing about cryptocurrency, but this is a really interesting take that we hope you enjoy. Our speaker today is Flavio Popescu, who is a technical consultant at Dianac and specialises in penetration testing across their global client base. I'm going to hand over to Flavio now to get us started, and as you'll see, his passion will just really speak for itself. So Flavio, over to you to share your slides and to get us started.
Thank you. I'm just sharing my screen now. So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for coming along. I would like to welcome you to this webinar, Cash is No Longer King, where I will be discussing cryptojacking. Just sharing my screen now. Hopefully it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay. One more second so I can adjust. I have a lot of windows everywhere. Okay, should be good. So let's start. We will first, I made a slide just to run through what we're going to go today. So the aim of the webinar is to highlight the dangers of cryptojacking to businesses. And we will start by discussing about cryptocurrency in the beginning, and then we will move on to the subject of the webinar, cryptojacking. And then I have some cool samples at the end and also a demonstration. Okay, so let's start off with some foundation. Cryptojacking is, cryptocurrency is a digital asset that holds monetary value. It's built on the blockchain. It works peer-to-peer, and it does not rely on any central authority, such as a bank or a government. So let's explain a couple of things here. Blockchain might maybe jump out at you. So blockchain is a highly secure, decentralized database, and the data is stored on the machines or the systems of the people who created the data. And this is why it's called decentralized. Peer-to-peer works directly from one entity to the other one without involving a third party or such as like an authority or a government or bank. So cryptocurrency is not new. It's been around now for almost 14 years. And the first cryptocurrency was Bitcoin. It was created by an individual or a group that went by the alias Satoshi Nakamoto. I was surprised to find out that there are now 19,000 types of cryptocurrencies. However, almost half of them are not trading or don't have volume. So a couple of notes on this. There's so many of cryptocurrencies now. It is because anyone with the knowledge, they can create them. However, the second point is that there's almost half that have no value or are not trading, is because not all cryptocurrencies are going to succeed on the market. To put it in perspective, on a daily base, 61.9 billion are traded. So that is all the cryptocurrencies, not just Bitcoin. Another thing to mention, I will refer to Bitcoin quite often throughout the presentation, and this is because it is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies. There's a lot of data on it. Is also the most valuable one. So just to bear in mind. So again, Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency fluctuates from moment to moment, as we will see from the next slides. When, for example, when Bitcoin was released in 2009-10, there was the cost for one was 0.008, and it reached its peak in 2021 at 51,000. However, it has been declining ever since, and the current market value is around 16,000 pounds. So I created this table with the data is taken from an online popular crypto exchange, Coinbase, just to show how volatile are cryptocurrencies. And the cryptocurrencies on the left side are from the top 10 trading. So yeah, as we can see, cryptocurrencies aren't immune to real world problems. The war in Ukraine, rising cost of living, high interest rates, all these potentially spooked crypto whales. So those are, if you have not heard the term before, it's large investors that invest a lot of money at once. So I'm talking about hundreds of thousands. So all this combination has caused a little bit of crypto market crash. However, it's not to say that the cryptocurrency interest in cryptocurrency is wearing off. As when they say, when there's the stock market plunges, there's always a buyer's market. So let's have a look. Again, in this screenshot, again, the data is shown from Coinbase, and I wanted to show that how much the price fluctuates just on one day, just for one day. Another thing to look out for, at the bottom, we could see that the trading activity is 92% for buying. So this shows again that even though the market seems like it's crashing, the value is of Bitcoin is devaluating, and all the other cryptocurrencies, people are still trading and buying. So now that we've discussed a little bit about cryptocurrencies, I know it's not overly lot, but we got some basics. Let's move into some more exciting stuff. Cryptojacking, which is the webinar's topic. So cryptojacking in its simplest form is the process of embedding scripts into processing devices for the purpose of mining cryptocurrency, virtual coins. So this is essentially using other people's computational power to do the mining for the hackers. Originally, everyday computers had enough power to mine Bitcoin, but when the cryptocurrency market boomed, there became a need for a mining specific hardware. For example, the Antminer S1, which was the Bitmain's first product. So this is it's an ASIC. That's what it's called. So it stands for Application Specific Integrated Circuit, and it was used to mine Bitcoin. Now it's much different. Now the process of mining Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency for the takes a lot of computational power, and this is one of the reasons why many businesses are faced with the threat of cryptojacking. As they say, necessity is the mother of invention. So how much does it really cost to mine one, and is it really a gold mine? So we'll first have to look at how do we mine. So I put on this slide here, Bitcoin mining is the process by which new coins are enter circulation. So hardware is used, such as like the Antminer S1, to solve complicated mathematical problems. So when those problems are solved, the miners are rewarded a reward, which is obviously in Bitcoins. Now each problem is solved, it gets put together in a block. And now this block varies from cryptocurrencies, and currently for Bitcoin sits at 6.3. And when the block is parsed all together and is complete, the miners are rewarded with 6.3 Bitcoins. So to put it into money, that's the current value around 16,000 times 6.3. Each block has its own cryptographic rule or a hash, and this is mainly to verify that the transaction is legitimate and it hasn't been manipulated. So we can see why there is interest in cryptojacking. It's not easy to mine anymore. It costs a lot of money because the prices for electricity went up. So things like for the Antminer S1, sorry, not S1, the latest Antminer, which I believe is the S9 model, it's got a power rating of over 3,000 watts. So it's difficult to mine. Also, the CEO, I found here an interesting article. The CEO of Enerhash, which is a company that is focused to maximize the value of energy production in data centers, said that it costs roughly 20,000 pounds to mine one Bitcoin, but we've previously seen the value of one, it's at 16,000. So they're not really gaining, they're at a loss. There used to be a 90% gross margin, but with the cost of electricity and the dip in its value, now it's obviously at a loss. So why would attackers want to go after this, since obviously the price is declining and so on? So yeah, definitely they don't have to buy expensive hardware. They don't have to pay for electricity. Some attackers probably might even consider this a low-level crime, which is most of the time undetected or really hard to track to who's actually doing this. So therefore, there's no comeback to them, and it's a continued revenue. It's like a passive income. At the bottom, I've got the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity have said that there's been high volume of infections for the first quarter in 2021 compared to the recent years. I've seen they also had top 9 threats, and cryptojacking was number 3 onto the leaderboard, so to say. So we are aware in which way a business or a person can be victim of cryptojacking. But let's have a look at what exactly happens, or how does it happen. So the most common ways are through zero-day vulnerabilities. So this is basically a vulnerability that a vendor does not know about. So it's not yet been reported and unaware. Or through recently published vulnerabilities, like for example, the log4j, which was a remote code execution vulnerability that enabled hackers to execute arbitrary commands and take control of the vulnerable devices. This library, log4j, feel free to give me thumbs up if you heard about it, if you're familiar. Curious to know as well if people are aware and they've heard of this. So this this specific library was used by millions of people worldwide. So it was a really great way to get access to a lot of devices or computers, basically, to mine cryptocurrency. Web browser-based attacks. This is when an attacker is embedding JavaScript into a very trusted website, a website that has a lot of traffic. And when a user visits the website, the script gets executed in the background and is unaware to the user. It doesn't actually even get saved on the computer either. Phishing. Now, phishing, I guess, is always going to be put everywhere, and it's due to, because it's just, you can use it for so many things, right? So all an attacker really needs is an unsuspecting person to download or click on a link. And again, the code gets executed in the background and they are infected. I've got a couple nice examples that I've selected. So the European supercomputers, the Edinburgh supercomputer, for example, Archer, and other computers in Europe, they reported suspicious activity that was linked to cryptojacking. San Diego Zoo was infected with CoinHive. So CoinHive is basically what I just was speaking about. It's a JavaScript miner that gets embedded in the website, and as users visit, they get infected. So this happened due to an outdated Drupal version. This had a known vulnerability. It was not up to date, and they go in like through that method and placed CoinHive on the website. Starbucks, similar example, but with a twist. So they were also affected with CoinHive, but so this time they were targeting the customers of a specific shop that were logging in the Wi-Fi. So imagine you're going in Starbucks to drink a coffee or sitting down, you want to connect to the Wi-Fi. When they were doing that, they were getting infected with cryptojacking, basically. Tesla was also affected. They had a Kubernetes administration console, and that was exposed to the internet. And at the time, they were in these consoles, the administration plan, they didn't have the password. So the hackers got logged in. They didn't need a password, nothing. And then they had access to the AWS account from that administration panel. So from there on, they secretly infiltrated the organization, had access to the cloud environment. They just uploaded all of the crypto mining software, and they mined Monero. And I guess after a while, they probably got caught. But again, sometimes you can be hidden for a long time, and you know, it's a revenue for them. So I want to also say a note. it's not just in-house servers of company that happen. As we'll look next, it's also happening in the cloud. So CoinStomp, this was a malware that was created purely for the exploitation of cloud computing instances that are hosted by the cloud service providers. So that's its own sole purpose. It just attacks things like Amazon, AWS, Google Cloud, and so on. So it might be very tempting to a business, I guess, or basically a company, that since they are migrating and they're moving their services in the cloud, that they are secure, which is not the case. No matter what, the security is always a shared responsibility. So everything that gets into the cloud from your company's users, it should be their responsibility. So the cloud is not always secure by default, right? While the cloud, offers significant advantages, such as simplicity and security, the biggest issues still come from human error. However, I mean, if a company implements security measures and educate their employees, then they can take full advantage of the cloud-based services without fear. So, as we discussed, there are many ways in which an attacker can gain foothold in the business to mine cryptocurrency. But what about when an attacker has already got a foothold in the business? So Jonathan Koo is an excellent example of what damage an employee can do when they try to use the business's resources to mine cryptocurrency. So as we can see from the slide, Jonathan's use of the company resources far exceeded his financial gain, right? His company got billed 60,000 for the use of resources, and he only earned 7.5. However, he still earned that money without actually doing anything, and the cost got passed on to the company. So for the electricity bills. So what exactly happened, right? Jonathan was a contractor for the federal government scientific research agency, and he installed crypto mining software onto 2 supercomputers, right? And then he transferred his funds to his Monero and Ethereum wallets. So quick explanation about digital wallets. They store the private keys. Oops, sorry. They store the private keys that keep the cryptocurrency safe and accessible, and they also allow to send it, to receive, or to spend it. So to end at this slide, I would like to say is, as a company, it's always important to monitor your resources and assets. And if there is no change in business activity, but there's a change in resource usage, that should be investigated at earliest point. Okay, cool. So next, what I've got here is some samples of the scripts that are used when devices are being compromised. So what we've got here is an XM rig, which is a coin miner for Linux. It's a CPU miner. Now, a quick note here as well. So it's going to get a little bit more technical, but I will try my best to explain. So let's have a look. So there's different ways of mining cryptocurrency. For example, Bitcoin is being mined with GPUs, which is the your video cards, and other coins can be mined with CPU, such as Monero, for example. So let's have a look at what happens. So on the left side, we can see that when a device is compromised, what they're doing is they're trying to remove other competition, potentially. So other backdoors or other files that were there that they know that it resembles other attackers. They're also blocking and terminating certain connections on various ports. Let's have a look. So I see that port 23. I'm thinking, okay, why are they doing that? Maybe because that port is not very secure and they don't want someone else compromising this device. So all this is being done to maximize, to use the resources of this device only for them. Have a look next. So on the left side here, we can see that they're taking into account different architecture. So we've got CIISec there. So they're taking into account 32-bit and 64-bit, and then they execute the correct implant. So again, this is a super interesting method. They want to make sure that whatever the architecture of the system is, that they will still be able to run the miner. And yeah, they're using things like, okay, no hoop, and we'll also see in the next slide some persistence. On the right hand side, we can see they're making some changes to based on what kind of processor it is, right? So if it's an AMD or if it's an Intel processor, they're changing something. And again, all this is basically to maximize how much a device can mine. Next, so at the top, we've got a way they're using to achieve persistence. So they're using a public key, which is just a way of granting access onto the server. Once they place this authorized key on the server, they can always log in. At the bottom, we've got some obfuscation, right? So they're running that long string that doesn't make sense to me, right? But it's something hidden in the background. So I will look at that in the demo and try and decrypt it, and we'll see. So how are we doing for time? Yes, we're doing fine. So now we're gonna go into the demo, and I've got a lot to still show. So for the demonstration, again, I've picked log4j, which again was a huge vulnerability no long ago, and I've made it in a way that it's very simplistic, so I can show how easy it is actually to start attacking devices. So it's all simulated. No servers, no real servers are attacked out there on the internet. So let's have a look to share my screen. But and anyone see the screen?
We can see a slide that says demonstration at
Yeah.
the moment.
Yeah, I was thinking something. I think the best is to just stop that one. And now, okay, that should be it. Can anyone see the screen?
We can see your desktop at the moment.
Yes, yeah, the desktop. Good.
Perfect.
I'm gonna quickly look. Is there anything on the chat? No. Good to answer something. Cool. Okay, so let's move on. As I said, I will look into the obfuscation script that we seen on the earlier slide. So what I did is basically, yeah, that is the script that I've wrote a small script that takes let's have a look in Vim. I think it's better to show it on the whole screen. Can anyone see text is probably quite small, so I'm gonna try and see if I can make it bigger. Is this big enough? I guess. So it's the way I've seen it in a sample. It's the initial obfuscated script is encoded in base64. Now base64 is just a binary to text encoding. So what I'm doing is I figured that obfuscated string that I've seen, quite a long text there that was obfuscated, it was relating to Perl. So I noticed also that it had eval in front of it. So they're trying to evaluate this script. So basically it's like in Perl is executing it. So I've replaced eval with print, and that should just show me what's inside of this script. So I'm gonna scroll out to the top. I'm gonna zoom in, I guess, a bit more again. Okay. So we can see inside the obfuscation, it's a lot of text, right? And what seems to be, it's another, it's a Perl script, right? And this Perl script is actually a very simple botnet. And this botnet is given instruction where to connect, what port, what room, who's the admins, and a couple other things. We can see they're trying to hide the process name by calling it rsync. So yeah, that's that obfuscation. So now what I did is, like I said, I'm doing a live demonstration in log4j. Just to explain a little bit of the vulnerability itself. Log4j high overview. What happens is an attacker sends a GET request to the device or the host that's got the vulnerable library installed, and the device then accepts the request, and in this request the attacker adds a malicious LDAP server, and then the victim connects back, and then the attacker replies to the to that request with basically an instruction. And this is where the vulnerability is, that this instruction is not validated, it's just accepted and executed on the system. So again, for the demonstration, I wanted it to be a bit visual. I created an IRC server where the botnets will connect. Anyone heard about IRC before? So Internet Relay Chat used to be super popular. I think was made in 1995, if I'm right. yeah, very popular text chat. So this is way before all the video chats and, you know, the social media was about. So I made this chat, which I'm going to connect to the now. Basically, I logged in as an administrator, and this is where an attacker would wait for the botnets to connect once he finds vulnerable devices. So to do that, I've put together a couple of scripts. So inside this script, I'll just briefly explain it. It just reads each line from a file that I give you, and it executes another file on this script. So as we can see, it's just a couple of lines of code, nothing fancy whatsoever. And then the second file is where basically the vulnerability of log4j comes in place. So there's a get request sent, and this gets put into a header. Now, there's loads of headers that are basically can be here. And over here, the attacker adds his malicious LDAP server. And at the end, it's a base64 encoded command. So what's in that command? Well, we're instructing the server to execute, basically retrieve our botnet, place it on the server, and then execute it, right? So then what do we need? We need a list of vulnerable hosts. So you can imagine that there's loads of ways to gain access to host names or scan the internet, for example, for IP addresses. You can use all kind of scanners, Nmap, Zmap, you name it, there's lots. So I've put a list, of course, NASA.gov, we're not attacking NASA, it's all simulated. It's no huge list, it's just mainly to show. So we've got pretty much everything we need to actually start the attack. Oh, not quite. So what we need two things, right? We need to start the LDAP server, which is the malicious LDAP server that we're sending to the victim, and then our server is gonna send back our instruction that we've told. What else do we need? We need the file share for the bot to be retrieved. Okay, this is it. We've started it. So now we're gonna simulate the attack. We're telling, hey, read each line, execute that file onto the list that I've told you. So hopefully now we should see some bots coming in, and we indeed see them. Again, this can be like this kind of attack can be made at scale. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of server, and this thing can be sent. So it's just a little bit of a waiting game. But again, you can run this in the background. You don't need to sit at the computer and watch all this happen. And when you come back, I guess, you know, if they were lucky in finding victims, they would see a lot of botnets. So the script seems to be still working. So what are the benefits of this botnet? So first of all, I mean, it's another backdoor in the company. So say, for example, the company was made aware that they have this library installed, it's vulnerable, they just patched it. However, the attacker managed to get the bot installed. So then they are basically on the system, just sitting. What an attacker can do is you know, talk to the botnets. So we could run a command, for example, and tell them, hey, tell me what kind of role do you have on the server? So we can see they're all, well, in this case, administrator, which is root. But there's lots of cases where they are a lower level, and sometimes I guess it's worthwhile for them to spend a bit of time and get more access on the system. That can happen for a lot of reasons. They are able to see a lot more information. They're able to look for other devices that there might be in the network as well. So so far, well, we've only seen a demo for the botnet, right? But I've created again just another set of files that does the same thing, but just put them on a different names. So in this version, what we're executing is the second command, which this is how we get the base64 that we put into the file. So we're telling, hey, execute the mining software and start mining, basically. So we're going to do that. So we're executing the second command on the list. And again, it executes. So we've used log4j basically to compromise the devices and execute a botnet and the mining software on it. But this can be done through the botnet as well. As you can see, they're quite actually quite advanced, these ones. You can, I don't know if I've got a lot of time left. How am I doing for time? So yeah, so don't lose my train of thought here. So right now, basically, we're executing XM rig, which is the mining software. So we're gonna check if actually that happened on one of the botnets, one of the servers. So the way to check is just to look into the process file, and we're gonna ask retrieve the process files and look out for XM rig 64. So yeah, as we can see, there's the command that got executed through log4j, and then the botnets executed the miner as well. So what will happen is let's clear some of this. The botnet will the server will start using a lot of resources depending how they check so depending on how they set this in the config file. But typically, from what I've seen, is they use as much resources as possible to you know, to mine as much. So at the moment, the load level is 15, you know, so again, you can go up. This example only showcases Linux. It was I guess an easy way to show it. But I've recently seen in March a super sophisticated attack that's happening on Windows. So on Windows, they're using a software called Phoenix Miner, and this is a GPU miner for NVIDIA and I'm not sure another video card. And yeah, it was quite a sophisticated attack that happened. I do have a picture of the attack. Just if I can as well quickly show it. So they were basically getting in through SQL servers, and as you can see, there's a lot of things that are happening that at the end ends up executing the miner, but they are doing a lot of things in the background. They're adding a lot of persistence, they're disabling things, they're you know, killing antivirus and so on. So I won't go too much into that. It's just that it definitely happens over Windows too, and there's a lot of servers that are run on Windows. Something I suppose funny, I actually forgot the log4j instance running for like a day, And when I logged in, I seen, hey, what is all of this, right? And as you can see, there's a lot of requests here. So somebody obviously is trying to get to my log4j. Cool. So basically, that would be the demonstration finish. I've demonstrated how they use log4j and turn this into executing botnets and the miner itself. Now, obviously on the IRC channel, you can't really see a lot how does it actually look in the background. So if I run the miner on the server, this is what it basically looks like in the background. So the device connects to a pool, and they already have on their account specify where the funds will be transferred, what address will be transferred to once they receive work. We can see this is just a super cheap droplet here, 5 pounds. It doesn't have a lot of hash rate, but you have to think about scale. They would basically have thousands and thousands of these botnets, and the attacks can happen over any kind of vulnerability, anything that I guess they can get their hands on. So it could be log4j now, but it could might as well be PHP myadmin, webmin, Plesk. I'm not sure. Like a lot of software out there that can be vulnerable. So as soon as something becomes vulnerable, they can use that and try and get into systems. So like I said, these botnets are pretty advanced. So they for one, they could use it to have access to the servers to do mining. They can also do DDoS. I'm not going to get too much too much off the subject. But yeah, it's pretty, they can do quite a lot of things. So they can certainly also sell the access. So if they get a foothold into a company that's, say, quite big, they could sell access to someone else who are perhaps more skilled at doing other kind of black hat things. Okay, so I guess one last point, and then I'm happy to take some questions as well. One last point is, so yeah, when you connect to these pools, so a pool is it's basically a place where a lot of miners can sign up, and then they share all the computational power to do the mining. And when there are rewards, it gets split between all of them. So now if a hacker comes along and I say, hey, can I sign up to this pool? I've got 3,000, 4,000, 10,000 devices. It wouldn't work. They would also be kicked, banned, because they know it's not legal. So one ways that I've seen this happen is they connect all these botnets onto a proxy, and this proxy submits all of the work to the pool. And what that happens, what that looks like, it's like behind one, it looks like it's a one device that's doing all the work, but behind it is like, say, all the other devices. So yeah, thank you, thanks so much, for coming along, and I hope it was interesting. And honestly, there's so much to say about it. I could probably talk all day long, but I'm trying to stay on topic as much as I can. So I guess to finish is mitigation. It's difficult, but I would say for companies out there, they need to pay attention to make sure all of the devices, the computers, the servers are up to date, are patched. Obviously, no one can defend against 0 days, right? But just always monitor your assets. Also, something more advanced, I guess, is to monitor what does a user's behavior looks like on a day-to-day, and then what would an attacker look like, so you can, I guess, find if something goes wrong like that. But yeah, certainly train your employees as much as you can, and that's all, I guess, can be done. I will now go back to my other audience screen.
Thank you,
I
That
can
was
see some questions here. One sec. So let's drag this out of there. So Sophie mentioned that would I be okay with people reaching out? Yes, of course. You can send me a message. I am on Discord quite often. I'm on LinkedIn quite often, or just anything. I'm quite a lot into vulnerability disclosures, pen testing, anything cyber. So I'm happy to be reached out by anyone, and I'm happy to connect. Happy to share anything or help anyone anyhow. So Sophie, should I start answering some questions?
absolutely. We've had a couple of questions come in, and we might be able to summarize some of them together. But one of the questions that came in earlier on was, are you still finding that companies are still affected by Log4j?
Yes, certainly. I think there's always somebody out there who's not been in touch or forgotten that they had some devices, because you have to remember there are a company have hundreds or thousands of devices, right? So sometimes it's hard to keep track of what they have. And yeah, I have personally found some. I've reported. I like to do a lot, like I said, vulnerability disclosures. So yeah, I've certainly seen it's still happening. Okay, cool.
Lots
What
of
can be
questions coming
done?
in. Oh yeah, so you're just about to answer that one, weren't you? So what can be done by businesses to better protect their assets? I think you were touching on this at the end of your presentation, but I
Yeah,
suppose what are the most effective ways?
it's really hard, right? Because there's just so many ways someone can get into and get a foothold in. There's a lot of ways. So I guess it's just that they have to pay attention, obviously monitor the devices, train their employees. I mean, perhaps test their systems if they're not sure. But yeah, stay up to date with what's out there. I guess one of the good ways, and it's free, of course, just pay attention at what the community says. As soon as there is a big vulnerability out there, they will spread the word. So if they are affected by it, they should obviously straight away look into it. Okay, next we'll look at the next question. What makes cryptojacking so difficult to control? So I mean, it is like I was mentioning prior, it's difficult to track who's behind this, and it is also very anonymous. So it's so much different. It's not like you'd rob a bank and then you or steal some money from an account, right? And then there's always a track of where it goes, and you've got to cash out. You've got to move that money, otherwise it's going to be taken or you'll be found. This attacks the cryptocurrency that's cryptojacked can see into accounts for long periods of time. They don't have to move it. Like I said, it's pretty anonymous from that way. It can also be mixed. Another thing to look at. Don't have a lot of time to, I suppose, get into it. Crypto mixing. So this is a method of them basically washing out dirty coins with new coins and so on. Next question. I mentioned a lot about Bitcoin and Ethereum, but are there more popular coins that are targeted? I believe Monero, yes. Certainly, like I said, there's a lot of coins, and I have mentioned a lot about Bitcoin and Ethereum and Monero. Monero actually is always behind XM rig mining. When they deploy XM rig, it's almost certain it's to do with Monero, from what I've seen. But there's definitely a lot of other coins that are peak interest. Yeah, certainly. And Monero is very anonymous. It's far more anonymous than Bitcoin, so certainly, and also easier to mine because it's through CPU rather than GPU. So next question: with cryptocurrency being such a hot topic, what can we expect to see with cryptojacking in the future? I suppose it's already going quite crazy. So depending on the skill set, right, of hackers, some hackers are super skilled. For example, if I mention the state hackers, Lazarus, they wouldn't come down as performing cryptojacks. What they do is they go after the crypto exchanges, right? And we can see, like, if you search on Google, you see 100 million stolen there, 500 there, 700 there. And again, being it's so anonymous, they don't have any rush of taking it out. They could put in an address and then just use it whenever they want for whatever they want. So I guess, yeah, you can it's gonna be something that is always there, I guess, for now, certainly, because it's a passive income. It takes them little energy to do, and no much comeback, I guess. It's hard to track to find out who actually is doing this.
Thank you, Flavio. I think that's a great question to end on, actually, as well. So thank you so much for everyone that popped their questions into us. If you have any other questions you want to ask them, as it says there, please do get in touch with Flavio, as he's kindly offered to obviously take questions afterwards. If you will provide the details in the email afterwards, as well, as I say, all these sessions are recorded, so we'll send a link out to you afterwards. Please feel free to share it to anyone in your network who you think this would be of use to. And just a massive thank you to Flavio as well for speaking to our audience this afternoon. I know it's been quite a warm week, and really appreciate you all taking the time to join us. If you did enjoy today's webinar, which hopefully you did, we do run events like this regularly, like I say. So our next event similar to this is actually an innovation webinar, which will take place on the 11th of July. And that's going to be all around the market for lemons, so the asymmetry of information between buyers and sellers. If you're interested in registering to this webinar, please head over to our LinkedIn page. If the details aren't on there at the moment, they will be in the morning, so we'll add that to it. I'll also include the registration links in the follow-up email. One other thing I just wanted to mention before we go as well is that we are hosting our CIISec Live event, which will be at Edinburgh Napier on the 7th of September, and we'd love to see you attend that. So again, I'll include the link to our registration page for that, and hope to see you face to face in Edinburgh towards the end of the year. Flavio, thank you so much for speaking. As I say, we finished perfectly on time as well, which is excellent. And yeah, look forward to seeing everybody on the next one. Have a lovely evening. Thanks so much as well, and it was a pleasure to speak here. And like I said, anyone wants to reach out about any other subject, feel free. Happy to be in touch. Fantastic. Have a lovely day, everyone.